Sharon put in there, closed session is running late. Should I hit got it? This meeting is being live streamed.
For September 21st, 2021, and it is 1:31. And then, Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Yes, President Rosario, Director Corbett,
Here.
Director Wasby,
Here.
Director Coffey,
Here.
Director Eccles,
Here.
Director Wieskamp,
Here.
Director Lane, President Rosario,
Here.
okay, and General Manager Landreth,
Here.
Deputy General Manager Alvarez,
Here.
AGM's Walker,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Cook,
Present.
Kelchner,
Here.
District Council Victor,
I'm here.
Chief Chiobaro, and
Present.
present. And did I call Director Coffey?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, right. Executive team is here and the board members are here.
Great, thank you. In honor of, to acknowledge the Hispanic Heritage Month, I am going to ask Deputy General Manager, Dr. Ana Alvarez, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Director Rosario. And with your concurrence, I would like to start by conducting the Pledge of Allegiance in my native language, Spanish, in honor and recognition of the rich cultural heritage found in the bilingual and monolingual Latino communities residing in the East Bay. Then I would transition to English, where folks can join in if that's all right by you.
Wonderful.
Okay. Gracias. Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, entera, con libertad y justicia para todos. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. I'm going to ask Director Coffey to do his acknowledgement for Indigenous people.
Thank you, President Rosario. Though physically we are attending this meeting from many locations within the East Bay today, I want to acknowledge that this meeting will have action taken today, later in the meeting, affecting the ancestral unceded tribal homeland of the Hul'qum Bay Miwok peoples. We are addressing today the first steps in construction of a major regional trail project along the Marsh Creek watershed. The Hul'qum occupied the Marsh Creek watershed in and around Oakley, Brentwood, and some of Antioch, along with the surrounding Delta marshlands. It is a good guess that the Hul'qum home village was located near the confluence of the San Joaquin and Sacramento rivers and the lower Marsh Creek, where Big Break regional shoreline exists today. So by way of the parklands of Big Break shoreline, Anac shoreline, the Park District Delta access lands, and portions of Black Diamond, Contra Loma, and Deer Valley regional parks, welcome to Hul'qum Bay Miwok territory. Thank you, President Rosario.
Thank you very much. And today's regular meeting is held in accordance with Governor Newsom's executive order, allowing for board members to participate remotely. And we are also providing live audio and video streaming and have provided the public the opportunity to submit written comments and call in for public comments or on an item on the staff report to call in and leave a voice message. Public comments may be submitted in one of three ways. And Madam Clerk, can you please explain how they can participate?
Yes, President Rosario. Members of the public can send me an email at ybarrow@ebparks.org. They can give us a call and leave a message at 510-544-2016, or they can simply join in the meeting today. Thank you.
Excellent. Do any board members have any questions about the meeting procedures? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to approve.
Move to approve the agenda.
Director Wieskamp. And we have a second with Director Eccles. Yolanda, can you please take a roll call, please?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Coffey,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye,
We have unanimous approval of the agenda.
thank you. And do we have any public comments for this section?
No, we do not, President Rosario.
Thank you very much. And with that, we are now in open session and business before the board. So consent calendar. Does anyone have questions unanswered?
President Rosario, were all your questions answered?
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
They were. I did not receive any other comments from board members.
Oh, excellent.
Mhm.
We'll just make another attempt to make sure everybody's had they have any outstanding questions on consent. Director Waspy.
Yes, it was just a passing question that I had, and I think Director Corbett has brought it up a couple of times. I'm wondering when we spend, when we are referring to purchasing of the 14 vehicles that we've done, and I continue to be amazed that we pay almost $37,000 in sales tax to Sacramento County, and I bet I understand why, but I probably know the reason they do it, but why do we do it? Why couldn't we buy something in Alameda County? I bet they sell Fords in Alameda County, and we could give the county $37,000 instead of Sacramento County.
I believe we have AGM O'Connor. There he is. He just popped up. He can answer that question.
Good afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board. Director Waspy, we use the statewide bidding process for vehicle purchases, which saves us significant funds in terms of formal bidding. So that's one of the primary reasons why we go through that process, which often ends up using dealerships that are in the Sacramento area in terms of the best price. So that's our primary reason, and we can do a follow-up with you later on also to get into some more of those details.
Okay, thank you.
Director Lane and then Director Corbett.
So have we ever talked to them as we buy a number of these vehicles about the possibility of buying them from dealerships in the East Bay? Because if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, Director Lane, in answer to your question, the statewide bidding process is open to all dealerships throughout the state. And obviously the best price is the successful bidder in that process. So my guess is, and I would have to do a follow-up research on that, is that local dealerships also have the ability to bid in that process, that statewide process, but are unsuccessful in terms of their pricing.
Thank you.
Director Corbett.
I remember this because it was an issue that was brought up back when I was on the San Leandro City Council, and somehow we figured out a way to purchase our vehicles locally and deal with the concern about whether it's the best price. So I'm hoping someday we can continue to look into this. My other comment is that in looking at the number of vehicles that are being purchased and the type of vehicles being purchased, and knowing that some of these types of vehicles very shortly will be electric vehicles, because that's where we're going. I just hope that next time we have a list of vehicles like this, more of them are electric, because we should be doing everything we can to battle climate change, in addition to all the other things we do in this district. So I'm really hoping in the future we have a more specific number of vehicles that are electric vehicles when we purchase. And That's all I'll say about that. You know how I feel about that, Mr.
I do,
O'Connor.
Director Corbett. I absolutely do. You've made that abundantly clear. The good news is that we're just on the cusp, as you know, and the other board members know, this district runs on pickup trucks. That's how we do our business. And it's really an important vehicle to our efficiency and our ability to actually operate the parks. The good news is that I have been talking to Jason McChrystal, our fleet manager, and we are just on the verge of looking at the new Ford Lightning pickup trucks and testing those out. So we're going to be testing those out both in public safety and park operations. So we're just on the edge of that, Director Corbett. We're almost there. We were waiting for a viable pickup truck, electric pickup truck that we could test out. And so we're just about there. I'm really happy about that. Just a couple other numbers. About 32% of our fleet, our vehicle fleet, is RD99 renewable diesel, which is part of our green fleet management plan, as you know. About 6% is pure electric vehicles, and another 2% are hybrid vehicles. So we're down to about 60% being gasoline powered internal combustion engines, and we're hopefully in the next few years we'll be able to incorporate those electric pickup trucks and start moving the needle in terms of electrified vehicles.
So, AGM O'Connor, will we be buying this number of vehicles in the next year? That's not the thing that always gets at me. It's a large number of vehicles, and if we waited 1 year, we would have electric pickup trucks we could purchase. So,
well, in the best case scenario, you'd be right. And what we want to do is test some of those vehicles in the real world first. So that'll probably take another year at least before we get those vehicles on site. And as the GM Landreth has heard me talk more recently, is we have a real challenge keeping up with our replacement schedule for vehicles, which is a key element of cost savings for this agency. And so, yes, we do purchase this number of vehicles every year. And in fact, Jason would tell me that we slightly fall behind every year in terms of our keeping up with the replacement schedule. So we do need to continue with that replacements every year to keep up.
okay. So are you telling me next year we may be buying some electric pickup trucks?
If they are available, yes.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
President Rosario, we do have two.
Oh, yes.
We have a speaker on item J, which is authorization to extend the East Bay Regional Park District's 2021 COVID-19 supplemental paid sick leave policy through December 31st. And that is Chris Newey. Chris, you have
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you. Let's see, President Rosario, Board of Directors, General Manager Landreth. My name is Chris Newey, President of ASME Local 2428. I am here to just speak in favor of item J, the authorization to extend the East Bay Regional Park District's 2021 COVID-19 supplemental paid sick leave. As you all know, we're still in the middle of the pandemic. Many of us have small children that can't be vaccinated. So any support that the district gives to allow people to self-quarantine, stay home when they feel sick, or go get tested in a paid status, puts us all in a position where we're all a little bit safer. So yes, I encourage that you pass this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your support.
And Chris, you might as well just stay there.
Yeah.
He also had a comment on item K, which is approval of a successor MOU.
I do. Thank you, Yolanda. So yeah, I'm speaking on item K, the approval of the successor MOU. AFSCME Local 2428 supports the approval of this item. The approval of the successor MOU moves the district and union's long and short-term priorities forward. It moves the district back into a competitive position in regards to recruitment and retention for many of all of the ASME represented classifications. It also resolves many of the equity issues that the union's been trying to resolve for several years. I believe this MOU is a huge step forward in improving morale and healing any resentments between the rank and file and management. And I would like to personally thank the district's negotiating team and General Manager Landreth for working with the union to get to where we are today. Thank you.
Those are all the comments.
Thank you very much. And,
I'll gladly make the motion.
Can I say one thing before? I just wanted to acknowledge the negotiation teams from both 2428 and the management team, and glad that we were able to come to a fair and just contract for our employees. And the board was very, very pleased with the outcome, and we definitely want to honor our employees from top to bottom on that, and we appreciate the camaraderie and the collaboration. So thank you very much. With that,
Very happy to make that motion with all these great items in the hope for more electric vehicles in the future.
I'll be glad to second that motion.
great. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Waspy. Sorry.
Aye.
Director Coffey.
Aye.
Director Eccles.
Aye.
Director Wieskamp.
Aye.
Director Lane. Director Corbett.
Aye.
And President Rosario.
Aye.
That's unanimous approval of the agenda.
Great. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 2, Executive and Legislative Division. And number A is consideration of changing the reporting structure for Assistant General Manager of Legal and Risk / District Counsel from the General Manager to the Board of Directors, and authorize a new job classification title of General Counsel.
So thank you, President Rosario, for giving the summary there. I don't have a presentation. This is really up for the board's discussion. But just for the interest of the public, the Park District's current District Counsel, Carol Victor, has announced that her intent to retire at the end of this calendar year, despite all of my pleading. So effective, and that's effective December 31st. And so she's discussed with some of you over the years, and I know this is of interest to some of the board members independently, to look at the reporting structure for the district council. So that is in front of you for discussion and possible adoption today. If you do go ahead and decide to change the reporting structure from the general manager to report directly to the board of directors, we do have an amended job classification title and details that we'd also ask that you authorize so that we can get moving on the recruitment. We have an executive recruiter who has already signed on to do the recruitment regardless of the reporting structure. And she is ready to go as soon as we have clarity on what you want to do on the reporting structure. So it's really up for the board's discussion.
Great. I just want to give a little preface to how we got here. This was an item that was part of executive team had set up an ad hoc committee to look at the board operating guidelines. And the reporting structure was part of that. And we had meant to bring the entire recommendations of the ad hoc committee to the full board for discussion. But with Carol's retirement plans, we decided to go ahead and bring this particular item out of that ad hoc committee and directly to the full board. And in the ad hoc committee discussion, it was felt that number one, this would bring us in line as a public entity with other jurisdictions where district council or general counsel reports directly to a board or a city council. And also, it was my view that I think it's important for the board of directors to have another unbiased opinion as to matters that come before the board, and to take that so that the district council represents the park district and not the general manager. Although in this case, I have no qualms about our current general manager, but I'm thinking of the future, and we have plenty of instances on the federal level where separation of council from an executive branch is important. So that's where this came from, and so I'd like to go ahead and open up for discussion. Any questions? Director Corbett, did I leave anything out?
You didn't leave anything out, and I don't really have any questions, but I just want to thank you for your leadership on this item. And as you have already mentioned, this is something we see in most governing agencies where the general counsel answers to the board, the elected body. And like you said, our current counsel, Carol Victor, has always been very supportive of our board. So it's not directed at her, but to make it official, I think it is a really important way to run this district and recognize the importance of the policymaker's role. So thank you. And I think it's a great idea. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Director Eccles.
I just have an operational question, because I see here that the council would report to the board of directors within, in terms of policy direction, and then also coordinate with the general manager. But in terms of just basic operation, so I'm thinking of the really administerial things like, time and vacation and, expense reports. So would that be the board president, or would that be the GM that sort of does those more administrative operational tasks?
I'll look to either Sabrina or Carol.
It's certainly something that could be worked out. It's just, it just caught my eye.
One of the reasons too that I was making this recommendation to the Board of Directors, Carol Victor, District Council, one of the reasons I had made this recommendation to create a second line of communication directly to the board and some independence in the legal counsel. I do believe that it will, this change in reporting relationship will help in terms of recruitment. Because it's what municipal practitioners are used to in terms of the reporting relationship. Director Eccles, I do believe some of this is going to have to play out in discussions with the board's next general counsel, but many attorneys sit with a contract between the agency and the attorney, very similar to a general manager contract, but that will something that will have to be negotiated with the next general counsel.
Okay, thank you.
If I can just add on to that really quickly, because this was and I meant to say this at the onset, a request from our executive recruiter to mention this to the board, which is that any district council will be asking for, if they're reporting directly to the board, they will be asking for a contract with their terms of employment and compensation spelled out through that, severance, et cetera, just very similarly to conversations around a general manager. So she did want to just set that expectation with you all, that is what the candidates will ask for.
Director Waspy.
Yeah, I'd just say I would speak in support of this, but one question I would have is, so this so the board would be hiring the new district council. Is that correct? And future councils?
That's correct. Yeah. We will help, we'll facilitate the recruitment process. with the, outside executive recruiter. But she'll be reaching out to each of you really to get your input. And then ultimately you will make the decision on the hire.
Great. Director Coffey. And then
Yeah,
Director Lane.
I want to add my support to the proposal in my own now wound down legal career as principally a general counsel to healthcare districts and their elected boards around the state of California, 30 years plus. I played out both roles in terms of hiring some from the board of directors and some through the CEO of a hospital, for instance. And as a practical matter, it works the same in terms of how you perform as a lawyer. You work day to day with management. You work day to day with in this case, with the general manager or the other senior managers. You're not working day to day with the board or being administered in that role by the board of directors. It's merely a focus on who does the hiring and who does the firing or negotiations of salary and such at the board level. And I think it works out well to have a general counsel position hired by the board of directors. In no small way, and in terms of my own experience, it separates the role from that of the general manager or management in general, such that, in my estimation, given this organization's record, our GM is likely to be here for decades. But in the healthcare industry, CEOs often turn over within 3 or 4 years, given the nature of the roles. And it separates the position, in other words, general counsel, from maybe changing every time senior management changes. And that to me is a primary advantage of what's going on in this change that we're making. Thank you.
Director Lane. Oh, you're muted.
I have a couple of comments. One, it does seem to me that this is probably the logical evolution of what's happened as the Park District, had a contract lawyer and then a part-time lawyer and then a full-time lawyer and now several. So I do agree with taking this step. It is a very complex job. And I remember discussions with Ted Radosevich, who was attorney when I was on the board initially, making the point about what the role of the Park District was in the East Bay. And it was a very enlightening conversation and somewhat different than a city attorney, with being important for the general counsel to really understand the vision of what the Park District offers. So I'm good with that. Then I do have a couple of questions. One is that one of the things that our attorney has done in the past is have responsibility for risk management. And I'm wondering if we need to have a more discussion about that and if that is the correct place for risk management to be. And so I just wanted to bring that up. There are plenty of other more directly, what I would view as more attorney-related responsibilities than risk management. So at some point, I would like us to talk about that. And then on we had minimum qualifications and knowledge, skill, and abilities. And I have a suggestion in the list of knowledge of in 4 bullets. I think the last part of bullet 4 should actually be in bullet 5. And it has to do with the ability to work cooperatively with divergent groups I think it belongs with bullet 5 as opposed to 4. Thank you.
Excellent comments and suggestions. And then we can have that discussion. The Board Operating Guidelines Ad Hoc Committee has finished its report, and we're going to be asking for a separate workshop to go over those recommendations. And there's a lot of items up for full discussion. So we can.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because I think we should take some time on this.
Yeah, definitely. So we will schedule that. So any other comments? Seeing none.
We do have one speaker on this item.
Yes,
Chris
please. Public comment.
Newey.
Thank
Chris.
you, Londa.
Mhm. You're welcome.
President Rosario, Board of Directors, General Manager Landreth. Chris Newey, President of ASME Local 2428. The ASME leadership team hasn't actually taken a stance on this, but we have quite a bit of concerns, and so I just wanted to bring up these concerns to your attention to somewhat make sure that they're thought of as the Board of Directors makes whatever decision it makes for the better of the district. As you all know, the labor relations between the union and the district have been rough, to say it lightly, over the last couple of years, with the General Manager Landreth coming over and taking over the general manager position of the district. We have seen improvements and see a path to kind of collaboration. But a lot of our problems throughout the last 2 years have really been around worker safety, work comp, the implementation of workers' compensation, and all these areas that reside in the risk area. Having one person, the kind of one lead at the district where the union leadership can go to bring problems to the general manager's attention has been really effective in the last 6 months. Over the years, we've seen problems where we have departments somewhat blaming other departments for problems. And without having one person that the union can go to kind of get these situations resolved, as usually kind of, it provides a path for how we can address problems, efficiently, effectively, and not kind of have these problems that just keep on going where different managers are essentially blaming each other. I don't think we also fully understand exactly where everything will reside, and it doesn't sound like the Board of Directors does either. So yeah, we just encourage the Board of Directors to take your time and make sure that each of these kind of unknowns are worked out ahead of whatever decision is eventually made. Thank you for your time.
Good points, and thank you for the comments. Carol Victor.
Yes. So I think I'm going to be speaking for the general manager, but and Chris Newey and ASME, representing ASME, do raise some really good points about where risk should reside. And the general manager will be looking at that and organizationally, just as part of another strategy. So that's conversations that will continue. I will certainly share my opinion with anybody who asks, but it's a conversation that will happen beyond my tenure at the Park District. I do want to say that, labor relations are really important in the Park District. And the general counsel's relationship with the general manager is very important in the Park District. No district council can succeed for a period of time without having a good working relationship with the general manager and helping her accomplish her priorities as they've been set by the board. So the change in the reporting relationship should not change the quality of your council, and a successful district council will have to be a strong partner with the general manager.
For that comment. Any other comments? Any other public comments? Great. Seeing no other comments from the board, I would entertain a motion.
Also move approval of the resolution.
Okay. Director Coffey, we have a motion from Director Coffey and Director Waspy has seconded.
Okay.
Director, I just gave you a cut and pay, Yolanda. Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call?
Yes. Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Coffey,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
All right.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye.
Yes, we have unanimous approval of item 2A.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mhm.
And now we're at item 2B, authorization to purchase A10 vehicle cabin HEPA filter or HEPA air purifiers from IQ Air Protect from wildfire smoke events.
And I believe Dr. Alvarez, you're going to
Thank you so
provide
much,
that.
Sabrina. Good afternoon, board members, members of the public, and esteemed colleagues. Deputy General Manager, Dr. Ana Alvarez. I will be briefly introducing this item to acknowledge the very good work done on behalf of the safety of Park District employees as we adapt to a new abnormal in California with an ever-increasing fire season. Last year, we experienced the longest exposure to wildfire smoke, and we're truly struck by what it felt like an apocalyptic orange sky. So with urgency as an utmost priority, a joint labor management working group was convened in partnership with ASME Local 2428. And I am delighted to report that the collaboration truly exemplified our Park District values of resiliency based on steadfast determination and relying on the trust, accountability, and teamwork that we strive to foster with our labor partners, and certainly transparency on the decision-making process. And I wanted to take the opportunity to do two things here today. One, extend a very heartfelt thank you to Richard Guest, Steve Castillo, Catherine Duntney, who's no longer with us, and Cliff Rocha for championing and leading the way. And also, I wanted to take the opportunity to set the stage for our new chief of MAST, Robert Kennedy, who joined us at the latter part of the process and just beautifully was able to deliver and will continue to shepherd this important feature or safety feature as we continue to deal with a new abnormal here in California as we continue to experience wildfires and maintaining our responsibility to maintain our employees safe. So with that brief introduction, Director Rosario, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Robert Kennedy. Robert.
Good afternoon, Board of Directors, President Rosario, GM Landreth, and Deputy General Dr. Alvarez. I'm here to talk to you about preparing Park District vehicles for wildfire smoke events. I wanted to let you know that the East Bay Regional Parks District is leading the pack when it comes to what we're doing with this task. And we are the first special district and public agency to embark on this type of safety protocol. And we want to be the example when it comes to the health and safety of our staff. So in partnership with ASME 2428, Representative Cliff Rocha, the Police Association's representative and management, we're able to collaborate and work towards solving the problem being presented to the committee. How do we create safe spaces for employees out in the field during smoke events? We reached out to our local neighboring agencies to figure out what their strategies were and determine what our path was going to be. But due to COVID-19 and the pandemic, we found out that very little was being done, so we had to charge our own path. During our investigation, we came across Air Now, which is a way for us to monitor the air quality index, the AQI. And so we determined what the hazards were. So AQI events that were over 150 lasting more than 10 days, that would be a detriment to the health and safety of our employees. By monitoring the website, we'd be able to determine when the district experienced an elevated AQI smoke event and would be able to respond accordingly. We evaluated 482 vehicles and determined that 57% of the district vehicles met Cal OSHA requirements, and we marked them with the corresponding green sticker that indicated that it had filtration within the vehicle. We determined that 43% of district vehicles did not meet Cal OSHA requirements and marked them with the corresponding sticker that indicated that they did not have cabin filtration. This evaluation was important because the OEM recirculating feature that comes with newer vehicles prevents particles from entering cabins when a smoke event happens. And we wanted to determine which one of our vehicles in our fleets had this feature. As a committee, we conducted an evaluation of 13 different filters utilizing a matrix with over 20 different characteristics. We looked for examples that had the ability to filter PM 2.5, filter out odors, had a particulate efficiency of over 99%, improved the airflow, and weren't noisy. But most of all, the ability to filter air. So from 13 filtration devices, we went down to 4. IQ Air filter, which had a moderate airflow, had fixed strap design for vehicular use, and it had a particulate and gas phase filter. Tray was the lowest airflow. It was small and quiet. It fit in a cup holder, but it had a HEPA and carbon filter built in. Ethereal had a medium airflow, was the quietest of all of the filters, but it also needed to sit on the passenger side, which would need additional fabrication for it to be mounted within the vehicle, but it also came with a HEPA and carbon filter. Honeywell had the greatest airflow, but it was the loudest, and it wasn't made for vehicles. This would also need an additional electrical components to operate within the vehicles effectively, and also would need additional fabrication for mounting within the district trucks. Sorry. So on testing day, we conducted our test at our newest facility at Thurgood Marshall Park in Concord. It was a bright and sunny day, and we had a 2-step process. So we blew particulates into the vehicles to simulate a smoke event and get readings. By utilizing dirt particulates and hay and allergen particles, we were able to set off the registers and get great results. So we knew that our testing strategy was working. Step 2 was to utilize our outside vendor, Asbestos Environmental, to perform testing and record the indoor air quality and the parts per million with 2 different sensors, one over the driver's side and one over the passenger side seat. So all of the air filters improved the air quality to less than 150 AQI in under 10 minutes. With similar results among the largest filters, Honeywell was the fastest to clean the air, but it came with some drawbacks. The unit overheated, which caused concern for longer durations of use, and none of the other filters had that problem. But the really interesting part about this test was our ability to verify that the factory OEM recirculating feature that comes with newer vehicles does very well in preventing particulates from entering the vehicle when utilized, and it meets the Cal OSHA requirements for AQI, Air Quality Index. So in conclusion to our test, the IQ air filter was selected as it was made for vehicles with its mounting brackets, its ease of use, efficiency, and qualities which suited our needs. Most importantly, it filtered out the air in vehicles. So our next steps were to conduct a live test in smoky conditions, fine-tuning the filter location, and creating a message for staff to utilize the product. Due to some unforeseen issues, we were not able to conduct a live fire testing on district lands, so we needed to wait until there was a local event that we could get close to. And meanwhile, we wanted to get ahead of the upcoming fire season, and we prioritized the purchase of 75 filtration units that would be placed in park operation vehicles, as they were the most, park ops was most likely to be affected by an AQI event. Apologize. And those have all been installed in district vehicles. And then on August 26th, most recently, Maintenance Superintendent Richard Guest was able to do a live test with the IQ Air system in Shingle Springs. Accompanied by our outside vendor, Specialshire Environmental, he was able to get real live data from the Calder Fire smoke event that had a registered AQI of 348. With this elevated AQI of 348, the IQ Air filter was able to bring the indoor cabin filled air index down to the moderate levels, which was a success. So our entire strategy, the way that we conducted our testing, proved to be successful in real life smoky condition. And moving forward, we will continue to conduct tests for placement of the filtration units within the cabin to improve the air quality so that we can really maximize keeping the cabin fresh for our employees. We will determine the best AC intervals for vehicles that do not have the recirculating function. And then we'll also look at the usage duration for N95 masks for staff entering and exiting vehicles and what that strategy is going to be. And last but not least, I just want to give a big thank you to the team because without the team, we couldn't have made this happen. It was a great collaborative effort, both with management and ASME 2428. And so I just want to thank the members again, Dr. Ana Alvarez, Steve Castile, Kathleen Dudney, Richard Guest, Jason McChrystal, Cliff Rocha, Erica Guerrero, Kurt Barrington, and myself, Robert Kennedy. And this is the end of my presentation, but not without a recommendation to authorize the purchase of an additional 150 IQ Air filters for the remaining vehicles within the fleet at a cost of roughly $77,974. Any question?
You can drop this. There we go.
Great, thank you. Questions from the board? Director Waspy. You're muted, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, I think this is a great addition, and thank you for the presentation. I'm wondering, at $520 a pop, how long do they last? Do filters need to be changed periodically? Do they have a shelf life?
So we are purchasing additional filters. And so the filters themselves do have a useful life. These aren't going to be run 24/7. When we have an AQI event over 150, staff will be instructed to utilize the filtration units, and they will be able to get us through an entire season, at which point the replacement filters will be down at central stores, and each of the employees can get a replacement filter. And so we will have a tracking mechanism so that we can determine, how long these filtration units have been in place, or the filters themselves, and then have a replacement schedule for those individual employees manage themselves.
All right, good. Is it a simple operation? Could a park ranger do it, or does it need to be sent in for service and have a technician do it?
No, actually, the park ranger can do that themselves. Jason McChrystal had an employee on light duty who was actually helping to install the units. And when he was doing that, he was actually training the rangers on how to change the filters themselves. Relatively straightforward. We put together a white paper on how to take the filters out and put them back in. But then we're always willing to help if they need additional assistance.
Great, that's wonderful. And so I'm what is it? It's smoke. It's particulate. Are the used spent filters, are they a hazardous waste, or are they just tossed into the garbage can?
I believe we can place those in the recycling. So it is in line with our recycling protocols here in the district.
Great.
Sounds wonderful. Director Corbett and Director Lane.
I don't really have a question, but I just want to say it's so nice to see this presentation and so appreciate that not only is the technology and the science there, but the fact that we have the ability to, retrofit our vehicles to keep our employees safe. So thank you very much for your extra efforts in doing that.
Thank you.
Director Lane.
So I may have missed this, but are you going to install them in the trucks, and are they going to be in there permanently or seasonally?
So they come with its own kind of strapping mechanism. So Anna and I were actually thinking about creating some kind of covers for the down season, or we can actually unmount them and store them in the vehicles. If the rangers don't feel comfortable with them being in the vehicles during the off season, we can have a place within their shops where they can leave them and then pull them out in the event of a high AQI event within the park district.
Okay, well, I think we all remember what happened last year when the air was intolerable, and so I'm glad we proceeded on this. I do know they put a lot of things in those trucks. And so I appreciate the opportunity for people not to have them when they don't need them. And so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was one of the factors that we wanted to utilize, because ease of function, and then the fact that it was going to be placed either the passenger seat or in between was something that we wanted to really pay attention to, because you more than likely you're going to have an additional person in that vehicle. You don't want to take up that space with a filter. So having that option was the best selection for us.
Director Corbett.
I'm sorry. Beverly's question made me think of another question, and that is obviously it's a piece of equipment that can be moved in and out of a vehicle. I'm hoping there's some sort of protocol to ensure that they're secured in a way that they don't end up going missing, because they are quite valuable pieces of equipment, and we need to figure out a way to keep them safe in case someone wants to borrow them.
I hear you loud and clear, and that's why we're looking at different covers so that we can hide the actual unit itself so it doesn't stand out during these multiple days where we have elevated AQIs. But then again, if depending on where our folks are out in the district, we can make recommendations for them to take the unit out of the vehicle each day so that we can ensure that they'll be there for another day's use.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Great. This is fabulous. I really, I just want to congratulate the leadership here for Dr. Ana Alvarez and Robert Kennedy, and I thank all the team members for your leadership and collaborative efforts here. I think it's pretty wonderful. Seeing no other comments from the board or questions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Okay, I'd move we authorize this purchase.
We have a motion from Director Lane. Is there a second? Director Eccles has seconded. Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Wieskamp.
Aye.
Director Coffey.
Aye.
Director Waspy.
Aye.
Director Corbett.
Aye.
Director Lane.
Aye.
Director Eccles.
Aye.
And President Rosario.
Aye.
Now I have a unanimous approval of item 2B.
Thank you all very much. Let me pull the board here quickly. Is anybody would like a 10-minute break? Or do you want to push on?
Looks like we got push-oners.
Okay, push on. That brings us to Item 3, Acquisition Stewardship and Development Division. 3A is authorization to execute a contract with WSP USA Incorporated for construction management services for the Extend Bay Trail project at Point Malati, San Francisco Bay Trail. And
I
who's going to
believe
this?
AGM Kelchner is going to introduce this one. There she is.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Good afternoon, members of the board, Director Rosario, Christina Kelchner, Assistant General Manager over Acquisition Stewardship and Development. This item is authorization to award a contract for construction management services for the extension of the San Francisco Bay Trail at Point Malati. This is a project that's identified in the district's master plan. It's a project we have been working toward for many years. This actually came about in the mid-2000s when Chevron renewed its lease with the State Lands Commission for operation of the Long Wharf, which serves the refinery in Richmond. At that time, the Park District raised concerns about impacts of the refinery's operations on public access to the shoreline. And as a result of conversations with Chevron, Chevron did grant the Park District an easement for a public trail access along the shoreline here at Point Malati. So since that time, there's been a lot of work in partnership with the City of Richmond and Chevron to raise funding and design and permit, negotiate with Caltrans, who also has some operations out there, and bring this whole project together. So this action today really marks a milestone in the project where the Trails team, our small and mighty Trails team of Suzanne Wilson and Sean Dugan on this project, have really brought us through the design and permitting phase. And we're transitioning now and doing the handoff to Lisa Gorgon and Ren Bates and the design and construction team who will manage the construction process going forward. So the construction management firm is being brought in at this time to help us get to the point where we're ready to go out for bid, which we hope to do early next year. And so we'll be back to you in 2022 to award a construction contract. So with that, we have a great presentation today from Suzanne Wilson and also Ren Bates, and I will hand it over to Suzanne.
Thank you, Christina. Good afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board. Can everybody hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. I'm Suzanne Wilson, Senior Planner in the Trails Program. And as AGM Kelchner alluded to, the Trails Program has been the lead for the design and planning effort of this project. And as we're now handing it or getting ready to hand it over to design and construction to move forward. So I'm just going to give a little overview of the project and bring us up to speed before passing it on to Ren Bates to talk more about the item before you today. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And that item is the authorization to execute a contract with WSP Incorporated for construction management services for the Extend San Francisco Bay Trail project at Point Malati in the city of Richmond. So this is located in the northwest corner of the Park District's two-county jurisdiction in the city of Richmond in Contra Costa County. And the project consists of construction of 2.5 miles of the San Francisco Bay Trail along the shoreline of the San Pablo Peninsula, connecting the somewhat new bike and pedestrian path over the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge north to the historic Winehaven district, which is located in the northern boundary of the city of Richmond's property. That's the parcel highlighted here in green. Upon completion, the project will provide shoreline access to the public to an area that's otherwise been inaccessible since about the early 1950s, with the exception of the Point Malati Beach Park, which was opened in 2014. However, currently there's no safe bike and pedestrian access to the Point Malati Beach Park, making it a somewhat isolated shoreline. The area is also rich in cultural and natural history, and the project will certainly take advantage of those opportunities and highlight some of those features. Next slide, please. Next slide. Is there a delay in the slides by chance, or is it on my end?
I think it's on your end because this.
There we go.
Progress, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. All right. The Park District has funded the design, environmental studies, and permitting for the entire 2.5 mile stretch of the trail and committed to securing funding for the southern half connecting the Richmond San Rafael Bridge to the Point Mulati Beach Park, which we call Bridge to Beach. 1.1 mile of that southern half lies within an easement donated to the Park District by Chevron in 2009, as AGM Kelchner alluded to. The northern half of the project, which we refer to as Beach to Winehaven, is located entirely within the City of Richmond's project, and they did commit to securing funding for that portion of the project. So when you look at the map on the right, the Park District will be funding the construction of the line shown in green and white, and we will be operating and maintaining that as well. And the City of Richmond will be funding the construction of and operating and maintaining the portion shown in blue and white. Moving through the construction phase, the Park District will serve as the functional lead to manage the construction as one project and will receive reimbursement from the city. Next slide, please, Ren. So both parties have worked pretty hard to acquire funding simultaneously to build this as one project, which was what we aimed to do from the start. We both brought our own development and trails funds to the table and sought out grants from the local, state, and in the Park District's case, even federal level, in order to achieve enough acquiring to be able funding to construct the project. Next slide, please. In 2018, the Park District brought before the board the mitigated negative declaration, which was adopted. And we have since secured a permit from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and are awaiting final permits from the Regional Water Quality Control Board, BCDC, the Army Corps of Engineers, and we are nearing a 90% design. Next slide, please. In 2019, the Bay Area Toll Authority collaborated with Caltrans and the Contra Costa Transportation Authority to construct the bike and pedestrian path over the Richmond San Rafael Bridge. Not only was this a key closure for the San Francisco Bay Trail, but it also provided a key connection to our project. So now residents and visitors to both the East Bay and North Bay have, bike and ped access to this unique shoreline. Next slide, please. Over the last 5 years, we've garnered a lot of support for this project. Local community groups like Bike East Bay, Rich City Rides, and Trails for Richmond Action Community have been vocal advocates for the project. We've collaborated with local agencies like BATA and Caltrans and MTC to make sure our projects are seamless from a user perspective. And of course, we've coordinated very closely with property owners, Chevron, and the City of Richmond. And in partnership with our government affairs team, we were able to solicit support from elected officials as well. And all of these agencies and groups helped us secure that grant funding. Next slide, please. So one of our more important partners, of course, is the City of Richmond. And in July of this year, the Park District Board authorized the Park District to enter into a cooperative funding agreement with the City of Richmond. And that agreement names the Park District as providing oversight to manage the construction and construction management for the entire 2.5 mile section of the Bay Trail. So it functions as one project in the construction phase. The City of Richmond will be reimbursing the Park District for the work done in the Beach to Winehaven portion. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we are in the process of securing our final permit approvals, which we hope to get this fall. And we're moving into the final phases of design. And as we do that, we will officially hand the project over to design and construction. We've been collaborating together already as we approach this milestone. And so I'm going to, Ren is going to take it from here to talk about what his team's role will be moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you, Suzanne, for giving us great update and background on this project. I'm Ren Bates, Capital Program Manager in the Design and Construction Department. As has been stated, the Trails Department has done a great job in managing the coordination with agencies and permitting and developing design drawings for this. At this point in time, we're going to switch it over to the Project Management Unit to put it out to bid. So to that end, the action in front of you today is to authorize a award of contract to a construction management firm. Now is an appropriate time to get a CM firm on board. Part of their scope of services will be to review our contract documents that will go out to bid for biddability and constructability. The firm that we've selected has experience with this in public bidding and can look at our plans and specs and give feedback so that we can get plans that are more equitably bid so that we get closer bids and better bids. So here's our schedules. We hope to go out to bid this fall, end of this year, and then begin construction next spring. The selection process for the CM firm includes our standard process for hiring consultants. We put out a request for proposals on May 17th. We received 6 proposals by the June 14th deadline. Those proposals were then scored by a committee of staff members. And then the highest 3 scoring firms were then interviewed via Zoom to then have further discussions with those groups. And then WSP was determined to be the highest ranked and best qualified firm from that selection process. The construction management scope of services that they will provide include, as I'd said previously, biddability and constructability review. They will perform many construction administration services. As you've seen from the earlier part of Suzanne's discussion of this, there are many partners involved in this. There's many permits that are required. And so we'll have this construction management firm be aware of all those requirements, the resource and regulatory agencies, and know of our easements so that they can help to make sure that our contractor is in compliance with all of our permits. Then they do the standard construction administration for us, which will include RFIs, quality control, change order management, and all of those things. And finally, they'll wrap up with post-construction services of providing all of our record drawings and do closeout. Here's our funding currently. I know there was a slide earlier about our this, I guess, should say our project budget. Currently, there's a funding slide earlier. Some of those are grants which have been approved but have not, I'll do my best to speak to finance, haven't been incorporated into the project as of yet, just because of the granting portion. So you can see we have sufficient funds in here to cover the proposal from WSP, which is $730,000. We feel this is a comparable rate. We haven't done a cost estimate, or a cost estimate hasn't been done for construction really recently, but as I understand it, the most recent one was about $7.4 million for the entire construction. So this is in line. We see it about 10% of the construction cost, which is industry's is a value, standard value. So we think that's a proper rate. And here's the recommendation before the board. We're asking to authorize to execute a contract with WSP for construction management services for the Extend San Francisco Bay Trail project at Point Malati in Richmond. That concludes presentation. I will stop sharing screen, and we have staff here to answer questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Questions from the board? Director Eccles.
Well, most of my questions have already been answered since the team pre-briefed me, but I did want to thank and commend the team for their work on this. This has been one of my priorities ever since I got on the board. So I'm very excited to see the San Francisco Bay Trail extended to Point Malati and this additional 2.5-mile stretch. And I think it's just incredible to have this opportunity to have this access for both bike and pedestrian, from coming across the bridge as well as on the East Bay side. It's really an amazing thing. So I wanted to thank the team for that, and also commend the team for for really leveraging our bond money with other grants, as well as working with the city of Richmond and other partners to make this work. And I think, us working closely with the city of Richmond, but still sort of managing the project is really an excellent way to go about it. And it's very excited to move this along. So thank you.
Excellent. Director Waspy.
Well, I just think this is a great project, and I look forward to hiking on that trail. I'm sort of wondering, so it's almost a half and half split, but we're managing the whole project. Is Richmond sharing in that management portion of it?
Director Waspy, I'll let Ren add some detail, but the Park District is managing the construction. So our construction management firm, our contractors will do all of the work. And then the city of Richmond will reimburse the district for the cost of the construction of their share.
That's a fine explanation. And then also conversely, when it's completed on the 1.5 or 1.25 mile share that Richmond has, will they provide maintenance of the trail? I mean, there's the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of the trail. Are we going to share that also?
I believe that is also shared. Ren or Suzanne, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
As it's set up right now, the city of Richmond will operate and maintain their portion of beach to Winehaven, and the Park District will operate and maintain our portion from the bridge to the Point Mulati Beach Park.
Great.
Any other questions? Agreed. This is a great, Director Lane.
Yeah, what I really appreciate is when you include what the total amount will be, because that helped me see that this was about 10%. And I always like a little more precise list that says what the source of each of the sources of the funds are. So I tried doing that myself and it didn't add up. So next time we see this, if you would put that together, I'd appreciate it. So do we not have all the funds yet? Did I hear you say that?
We have ample funding. We're not quite sure what it's going to be for construction costs. So I believe based on an older estimate, we had funding, and like I said in the presentation, it's been a while since we've updated that estimate, and construction costs have changed a little bit in the time. So I don't have I'm not sure as of yet is the answer I have for you, Director Lane. But we're hoping we have ample funds, but there might need to be more as we develop the plans. We'll have a better idea on that.
All right, thank you. I know depending on the point of time, it's hard to be that precise, but I'm certainly looking forward to this trail too. And when Suzanne listed the partners with all their logos, I thought that TRAC's logo looked like this trail. It may be some other one of their trails, but this looked a lot like this trail. So I know they're very supportive of this too. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how much the Bay Trail has really come together in Contra Costa County and the city of Richmond. It's amazing. Look forward to this project. So are there any public comments regarding this project?
There are no public comments. We just received an email from Bruce Byard from TRAC in support of this project, which I distributed to all of the board members and executive team.
With that, I would entertain a motion for approval. Director Eccles. Is there a second? There must be a second. Director Coffey.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
That's President Rosario. Director Corbett? Director Corbett? Yeah, you're still on mute. I see you. I see you. Director Waspy?
Aye.
Director Coffey?
Aye.
Director Eccles?
Aye.
Director Wieskamp? Director Wieskamp, I see you. Director Lane
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye,
We have unanimous approval of this item.
excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And then that brings us to 3B, adoption of a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Marsh Creek Trail, Vineyards Parkway to Round Valley segment, and approval of the project, Marsh Creek Regional Trail.
Good afternoon, members of the board. President Rosario, my name's Sean Dugan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. And I'm working on a different computer today, so please, I apologize for any, can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it. It just needs, there you go.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Yolanda. Yes, the item before you today is I'm requesting adoption of a initial study mitigated negative declaration for the Marsh Creek Trail project from Vineyards Parkway to Round Valley and approval of the project. The Marsh Creek Regional Trail is a paved regional trail that will be 14 miles in total once complete. There have been 10 miles completed to date, but there are 2 remaining gaps. There's a 1 mile segment at the current terminus from Concord Avenue down to Vineyards Parkway, where this project begins. And this segment is scheduled to begin construction next month, October 4th to be exact. The remaining 3 mile gap to the south of that is this project that the Park District is the lead on. It will travel from Vineyards Parkway down through and adjacent to the Marsh Creek State Historic Park to the Round Valley staging area. In 2018, the Park District hired Questa Engineering to complete an alignment and feasibility study of this gap. And we've been working all along in partnership with the City of Brentwood, Contra Costa County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, and the California Department of Parks and Recreation. The study area is here on the left in the red circle. And as you can see, the Marsh Creek State Historic Park is the majority of the land, which is a park that is not open yet to the public. We held 2 public meetings during the feasibility and preliminary engineering study, one on April 10th, 2019, and on August 14th, 2019, where we heard from the community on types of facilities they would like to see, alignment, preferences, etc. And then those results of those meetings fed into the study that we completed and presented to the East Bay Regional Park District Board Executive Committee on November 7th, 2019, and resulted in the recommendation to move forward with the environmental analysis of the preferred alignment under CEQA. As you can see on the right here, there were a few alignments through the park that we looked at, but in the end, this green alignment, which I'll show you on the next slide as well, was determined to be the preferred alignment. The preferred alignment is it's a normal trail construction. We're looking at a paved trail, 10 feet wide. I'll show you a detail of that with shoulders. The construction will consist of earthwork, installation of surface improvements, ramp and culvert structures, a prefabricated pedestrian bicycle bridge, an undercrossing of Marsh Creek Road, fencing and gates, signage, restoration planting, and parking area improvements at the Round Valley staging area. The alignment analyzed under CEQA will start at Vineyards Parkway, come down and enter into the Marsh Creek State Historic Park. Construction in this area will be very minimal to fill and building up off the ground so that we do not excavate. This is a very sensitive cultural area. It will then rise up over the Marsh Creek Reservoir Dam, similar to this yellow line, but not exact, which will require retaining walls. We're looking at a little viewing area up there if we can, and then it will traverse down the dam in Contra Costa flood control property, leaving the state park property, and then share a road, levee top road for most of this alignment here. And then turn westward. And the star here is the need for a trail bridge, a pedestrian bicycle trail bridge, about 160 to 200 feet long, depending on the design. And then we'll continue westward and then propose to cross under Marsh Creek Road, and then ending in the staging area with additional parking improvements and signage, etc. The typical standard for our trails is a 10-foot wide paved path with 2-foot shoulders on either side. We are receiving comments as we've built trails over the last 10 years. Cities are implementing different combinations of this type of trail. This one, we are going to consider a larger 5-foot shoulder for horses, along with a shoulder for pedestrians on one side, with a 10-foot wide paved path. This is a direct result from the equestrian community that is very near to this project out there. And from the community meetings that we held, this was requested. This is a couple of examples of the pedestrian bridge I'm referring to. We're very familiar with this type of bridge. And on the upper right there is the levee top road across flood control property that will allow us to have minimal construction here because there's already a nice surface set up for us. And here is a rough sketch of the under crossing and an example of something similar to this on the right, although we are considering and will seriously consider some sort of wildlife undercrossing here as well. This project is within the East Contra Costa Habitat Conservation Plan. And so we'd like to investigate that possibility once we get to construction. The initial study did show us that the project will result in potentially significant and less mitigated environmental impacts of this project to the resources listed here in the bullets. Fairly standard, except for the third bullet is I would say the primary concern of this project, given the history, the cultural resources, and the tribal resources that are in the area. But an MND is the proper document to adopt here, as the implementation of feasible mitigation measures would avoid or reduce those impacts to a level of insignificance. The Park District issued a notice of intent to adopt a mitigated neg deck for the project on July 9th, 2021. And the 30-day public review period ended on August 9th. Now, we did receive one comment letter after the comment period was over, and it was from California State Parks requesting that we continue to work together with their archaeologists to minimize cultural resource impacts, specifically near the John Marsh home. And we will continue to do that. But none of the comments we received drastically changed the project or added new information that required amendments to it. In August 2020, the Park District notified local tribes of the proposed project, and we did receive a request for formal consultation from Wilton Rancheria. And we did reach out with them, and a special thank you to our new cultural services coordinator, Anna Marie Guerrero, who worked with the tribe to incorporate the mitigation measures that they would like to see into our mitigation monitoring and reporting program, which is included in the MND on our website at the link below. And we will continue to work and formally consult with them as we get into final design and construction as well as the California State Parks staff archaeologists. There is a minor cost associated with this item, a $2,530.25 processing fee and fish and game fee. I'm sorry, this is an old slide. I suppose this is the California Department of Fish and Wildlife fee. And I also want to say that before I go into that slide, that our stewardship department, special thank you to them as well for they read this cover to cover, and really, as a result, pointed out some things that needed to be rechecked. We met in the field, and working with our cultural services coordinator, we really feel like the document is far better and very defensible, and will set us up nicely for acquiring permits once we do move to that stage of the project. Speaking of that, there is obviously a cost associated with this project. This is a very conservative estimate, I would say, but nevertheless, we will need to acquire this construction funding. We do not have it at the moment. This project is included in our RAISE grant application that we just submitted to the Federal Highway Administration in July. We hope to hear back on that by the end of the year. And we did ask for roughly $6.8 million to construct this project. That's the reason why we decided to go with a paved trail here, is to make it very attractive for those types of grants. If we're unsuccessful with RAISE, we'll move on to active transportation program and other local sources of funding to try to build up the construction funding needed to build this project. Until then, today, I'm happy to take any questions. The website is here that you can read both the feasibility preliminary engineering study as well as the entire M&D, along with the mitigation monitoring reporting program as well. So that's my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Director Coffey? You're probably well versed.
Yeah, well, thank you for calling on me instead of making me jump up and down. I do jump up and down on this project. I've attended the public hearings, and they've been very well conducted. I was impressed with the work of the consultant that Sean brought in terms of the public input sessions, and how having gone through this, it actually really does translate into the outcome and the design of the actual project. Sean noted the expressed interest of the equestrian community, who are very active in Round Valley, and getting to Round Valley, and with some enthusiasm approach this design and their participation in it, and the result is this accommodation for horses who don't like the paved trail, we learned, and moreover, they don't like overpasses, and this is one of the reasons that I know there were a number, but one of the reasons a tunnel works better than an overpass is for the equestrians. So we did hear them and incorporated those suggestions into the project. And I guess you can't have a Ward 7 project without a bridge, right? So we got that component, and this time a tunnel. So we're expanding. It's a bit off topic, but I just want to use the opportunity to again mention that this gives rise to the impetus for our park district to continue to encourage state parks to open that park, the John Marsh Park. This is close to 4,000 acres. It's a real large parkland. It's dead center between our parks and the Los Vaqueros open space. And as Sean demonstrated in the trail options, there are very good and continue to be very good trail options through that park. In some ways, they were superior, especially for bicyclists. And it just, as I looked at that map, it just to me cries out for the need to open that park. We are effectively opening that park to a certain degree, which State Parks has pointed out, in bringing the trail around its periphery, and the development of those further trails that will connect Deer Valley, connect Round Valley, and connect with Los Vaqueros is imperative. And there's some money around for state park access, as we understand right now. And I'd like to work with management in renewing the effort to get to a discussion with the relatively new still State Parks Director to bring that about and use this project as an illustration of the need. So I'm, in wholehearted support and very much appreciate the efforts of our team in pursuing sources of funding at federal, state, and non-governmental levels. Appreciate that effort too, and we're fairly confident that there's going to be money available for this. Thank you, President Rosario.
You're welcome. Director Lane.
Thank you. Thank you for this excellent presentation. I didn't make it to any of the public meetings, but I've been following this really closely, and it looks just terrific. And I'm glad we have Anna Marie to work with the tribal representatives on this, because they did discover all kinds of things around all kinds of archaeological resources around the house, as pretty much everybody knows. And I'd like to agree totally with Colin that it's time to open this park. I mean, I don't know how long that park has been there closed, but easily a decade.
Yeah.
And it definitely needs to be open. So anything we can do to lobby to have that happen, I just think it would be very important. And I'm glad we were able to accommodate the equestrians on that shoulder. At one point, Round Valley was like an all equestrian park. A lot more people have discovered it now, but it is a very popular park for the equestrians. And I do have then a comment about the property that's south of Marsh Creek Road. Could you put that map back on, Sean? Because this has been, there's been a conversation about this property for a really, really long time.
Whoops.
And
Sorry, let me do that while you're.
Yeah, as I think probably you all remember, the staging area for Round Valley is a lease from the state that has been there for some time, and then the property is owned by the state. And then adjacent to the lease is, I think, another 40 acres.
Is this the map you're referring to, Director Lane?
Right down in the south. Well, you had a larger one than that. That was
okay, let me.
Sort of toward the end.
Oh, this is the other map.
Yeah, but you can see it right here. You can see the light green State Historic Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then south of Marsh Creek Road is the piece I'm talking about. And then next to it is our staging area, which is a little darker green.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hope that by trade or in some way that we could eventually own this property that's south of Marsh Creek Road. Okay. And I know I sound sort of like a broken record on this, but it seems like a very logical thing. And that would mean the state would be responsible for the north part and we for the south part, and it would round out Round Valley Park as well. So Sabrina, I'd like you really to remember that. And Christina and Mike, don't forget that piece of property that really should be part of Round Valley. And then, I was surprised that everybody decided to do a tunnel under Marsh Creek Road because I thought that was a lot more expensive than a bridge, but be that as it may, you got that established. And Sean, you're not talking about the possibility of another access besides this for wildlife, are you?
No, we've discussed the possibility of having some kind of shared undercrossing where maybe portion of it is paved and the portion of it is somewhat natural, but not a separate tunnel at this point.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think that's a good idea. You know, what animals do is they figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and they wouldn't care if it's paved or not. Of course, equestrians would like it not to be paved. And I think this is a great way to get, particularly in the dark, which is when a lot of them like to travel, a place for animals to get back and forth underneath that really busy road. So I think it'll be a wildlife corridor of its own. And as they say, mountain lions will figure out what's going through there and enjoy dinner as well. So I really appreciate seeing this report, and I would like you to I'd like you to send that if you would, so I could have a copy of it.
Sure. It's quite large, so we'll figure that out. And again, like I said, it is posted on our website along with the MND, but I'll follow up with you after this.
Okay, and is the MND an actual document?
It is. It's the initial study mitigated neg deck and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program all at one link, and then the study itself is in another link, and it is.
And it's all on
I can send it to you. Though as a link, but it's that link.
Okay, thank you.
There.
There we are. Planning default.
Yeah, it's under our planning. If you go into about and then planning, scroll down, you'll see the Marsh Creek Trail, Vineyard Parkway to Round Valley link, okay. And that'll get you down there.
Thank you.
But if you need me to send you the link, please let me know. I mean, send you the document itself.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none and hearing none, because I can't see everybody right now.
You can take it down, Sean. Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make the motion to adopt the mitigated negative deck and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Vineyard Parkway project around Valley segment and approval of the project.
A second.
And we have a second from Director Lane. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yolanda.
President Rosario. Director Wieskamp.
Aye.
Director Eccles.
Aye.
Director Coffey.
Aye.
Director Waspy.
Aye.
Director Corbett.
Aye.
Director Lane.
Aye.
Director Coffey. I said that already.
I'll vote twice.
I know. I've been doing that a lot lately. I know. That's the second time I've done that. So
8 in favor.
And President Rosario.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous approval of this item.
Thank you all. Looking forward to that opening up too.
Yeah, it'd be beautiful.
Excellent. And now we come to item 4, the general manager's comments. And
Great. Thank you, President Rosario. Christina, I don't know if you were going to introduce this or if I should just go ahead and hand it over to theirs. Becky, she just jumped up there. So I think
Becky can take it away.
Becky's going to take it away. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy first day of fall. President Rosario, members of the board, my name is Becky Tuden. I'm the Ecological Services Manager for the Stewardship Department. And I am here today to talk about the Ecological Health Assessment for the East Bay. And let me get my screen going. And I will be presenting alongside of Tammy Lim, our ecologist, and Josh Phillips, our ecological services coordinator. Can everyone see my slide?
Yes.
And can hear me? Great.
Beautiful.
So what is an ecological health assessment? And I want to preface this by saying this is just a brief introduction. We'll give the more detailed explanation and the results both at the November stewardship seminar and also to the Natural Cultural Resources Committee at the end of this year. So this is just a teaser on what it is. So an ecological health assessment, or how we have been shortening it as EHA, it's a framework that allows us to use existing data to create a baseline measurement of the ecological health of the region. And once we measure that ecological health the first time, which we'll be doing in 2021, then we can take that same framework and measure the health every few years. So we can see how the natural resources are progressing and faring in the face of climate change and other stressors. So how is that different than what we currently do? We currently gather data, we do a lot of monitoring for research or permits or compliance or easement conditions, but often they're only on specific species and often on species in decline. And they also tend to be site by site. So we wanted a broader evaluation that was a landscape level, and we wanted it to be more meaningful. And the example that we use is when you think of all the science that's gone into evaluating the health of the human body. We have blood pressure, pulse, heart rate, cholesterol levels. We have a whole series of ways of evaluating how our human health is. Well, what we've tried to do is create those similar metrics and a framework for evaluating how the health of the ecology is doing. So we've created this framework and we've created these metrics, and we've made them quantitative so that you can see exactly what they are, because in this world, it helps to be able to communicate with numbers. And I want to make a point here that the human body is very complex and the ecological system is even more so. So we're not saying this is the best way to do it, but we're saying this is a better way to evaluate the health of our ecosystem than we're currently doing. So why is it important? Given all of the stressors that we're facing right now with climate change, invasive species, and increasing urbanization, this approach will give us a broader understanding of the ecosystem and allow us to actually measure how we're doing and inform our decisions. It's also going to help us synchronize our efforts across our partners, which Josh Phillips will talk about, including ensuring that our data collection is consistent and comparable, and prioritize where more information and more action is needed. It's also collaborative. It can help us collaborate on land management decisions like invasive species or habitat corridors. It will make us more attractive for grant funding. And we've also come up with a symbology for conveying this information that will make it more understandable to the public, so they'll really have a sense as to how we're doing. And it's using the existing data that we are gathering. And it's based on science rather than just we feel like things are doing well or not doing well. It's modeled after a number of efforts around the state and the national area. The most notable example is One TAM. They did the peak health assessment, and we did rely heavily on that for our own framework, but because we have different data and different species, it's going to look a little different. So how do we do that? How do we measure this ecological health? How do we get the baseline? The first thing we do is we start by using indicators. Sometimes they're called focal species, and Tammy Lim will talk about those, but essentially we want them to measure aspects of the ecology that we think are important, that we think reflect some overall ecological health. We need to have sufficient data on that indicator. It needs to be across the study area. And for the most part, we're looking at about 10 years of data. And again, this is already existing. For the most part, we're not going out and collecting new data. We're using existing data sets that we have. And we also look at the public interest for, is it iconic or charismatic species, that it could be used to build the public understanding. And of course, it is consistent with our master plan goals to monitor the health and viability of our resources, as well as coordinate with other agencies and manage these natural resources. A quick update on the progress. We started this back in May 2018. A bunch of biologists and scientists from all of these different partner agencies sitting down and saying, what indicators should we use? What metrics should we use? And then we took this and had actually a peer review where we got scientists from around the Bay Area to evaluate, well, does this make sense? Can we improve on this framework? We were going strong and then COVID hit. We started back up again in January. And we are planning on releasing the report later this year. Now I'm going to turn it over to Josh Phillips.
Thank you, Becky. Hello, President Rosario and members of the board. My name is Josh Phillips, Ecological Services Coordinator in the Stewardship Department. So to conduct the ecological health assessment, we formed the East Bay Stewardship Network, which includes the largest public landowners in the East Bay. This, of course, includes the East Bay Regional Park District, as well as California State Parks, Contra Costa Water District, East Bay Mud, and SFPUC. As we started out, we wanted to keep the number of participating agencies to a manageable size, but in the future, we can scale up and add other partners with significant land holdings, such as possibly Zone 7. The ecological health assessment has provided a unique opportunity to bring resource specialists together from each of the partner agencies to look at cross-jurisdictional issues, and our partner agencies have been contributing considerable staff time to the effort. Next slide, please, Becky. So one of the first steps was to determine the area that should be evaluated and which of the partner agencies' land should be included. So as shown in the reddish line on this map, the area of focus shows the boundaries of the assessment. And within that area are the specific partner agencies' properties included in the analysis, which are generally the areas for which we have existing data. The entire area of focus is approximately 670,000 acres, and there are approximately 225,000 acres of East Bay Stewardship Network lands within that area. So approximately 1/3 of the area shown on the map is covered by the ecological health assessment. As you can see on the map, some large areas were excluded from the ecological health assessment for a variety of reasons, such as notably the Park District shoreline properties. These properties are generally isolated from other partner agency lands and contain different vegetation communities. These factors limit collaboration opportunities with our partner agencies. In addition, similar and concurrent efforts to assess ecological health are underway for these shoreline areas. Next slide, please, Becky. So the area of focus is divided into the 3 subregions, which are listed on this slide. These subregions provide an ecological unit of analysis that accounts for geographic, climate, species distribution, and habitat variations in the region. So given regional differences, individual subregions may have different management goals and challenges and can be evaluated individually when appropriate. I will now hand it over to Tammy.
Thanks, Josh. Hello, Board of Directors. I'm Tammy Lim, a wildlife biologist in the Stewardship Department, and I'll jump right back into indicators. We've chosen indicators in each of these taxa. In all cases, we chose species that were ecologically relevant, but also iconic, like golden eagles, or federally listed species such as California tiger salamanders, seen here in the bottom right. These indicators were chosen to help us determine the health of various components of ecosystems, measuring interactions and habitat connectivity at different scales. For example, California ground squirrels, one of our mammal indicators, are keystone species. They are ecosystem engineers creating burrows for native amphibians and burrowing owls, but they're also an incredibly important prey species for other species like golden eagles and coyotes. Of course, it's difficult to get the full story without understanding how plant communities are doing. During this process, we realized that we needed more data, but the good news is that we've recently received a $770,000 grant to support fine-scale vegetation mapping across the district for fuels management. This fuels management project will also support plant community EHA analyses, and we are anticipating results sometime in 2023. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick view at how we're going to communicate the metrics for each indicator to the public. We have trends, which is just a change in condition over time. The condition, which is the current status of the indicator, as in how are they doing right now. And then the confidence is pretty important. It portrays the amount of certainty we have with the data or with a method for which the condition and trend are assessed. This framework allows for transparency, but also for repeatability. We'd like to repeat these analyses every 5 years. Next slide, please. And as an example, we'll quickly go over the red-legged frog, one of our amphibian indicators. We chose the following 4 metrics. The first one is simply where are California red-legged frogs across the area of focus. The second metric is where are they breeding across the area of focus. The third is labeled red-legged frog metapopulation, but it simply discusses whether or not this species has the ability to disperse across the landscape. And then the fourth one is the presence of non-native species. Where are red-legged frogs threatened by predatory game fish or bullfrogs, which are non-native? If we go back to the first metric, red-legged frog presence, you'll see that we've established the following condition thresholds. Good is that the number of ponds occupied by the red-legged frog is maintained or increased. And when we did the analysis for this first set of data that we assessed from 2009 and 2019, we found that the trend is unchanging, the condition is good, and the confidence is high. One of the other most important things that we've learned is that the relationships that we've developed with the other network partners has been invaluable. We've already been working together to use the same data collection protocols to monitor pond breeding amphibians. And we're going to continue working together so that we can more evenly sample across landscapes and monitor species with better data and more efficiency. We think this is going to be really important in the future. Though things look pretty good for red-legged frogs right now, the monitoring period we assessed only goes up to 2019. So the next round of analyses will include the extreme drought conditions that we're experiencing currently. And with that, I'll hand it back to Becky.
Thanks, Tammy. So where are we moving forward? We've been taking all the data, analyzing it, writing up the chapters, and coordinating with our partners on the results so we all know what's coming. And as I mentioned, we'll be releasing this wildlife health report in the fall or the winter, rolling it out to decision makers. We'll also be looking at what data gaps we have and what funding we need to continue this assessment. As I mentioned, we've been using almost exclusively existing data. The exception to that is mammals, where we have relied on our camera traps, but we might need to expand those camera arrays. So we'll have to look at funding opportunities for that. And then looking beyond that is once we have this baseline report, we'll come back and visit it every 5 years and see how we're faring and implement adaptive management to improve our resource management of our lands. We'll continue this coordination and data collection efforts, and then also we'll look forward to having that fine scale vegetation map and the health assessment. I'm up here presenting alongside Josh and Tammy, but there have been many departments within the Park District across agencies and disciplines for a number of years. Fabulous people. Just wanted to say thank you to all of them and look forward to your questions and thoughts on this project. Thank you.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Questions and comments from the board? I'd like to go first. I'll go first then. This is, I think this is amazing. It's something I know we've been wanting for a very long time. And it's really, for me, it's really appreciative of this is really groundbreaking stuff here. And you really can't tell how well we're doing unless you create these baselines. And I really appreciate the groundwork that's here. And I think this will be something that will do us well in monitoring how well our environment is doing. And hats off to you. Director Wieskamp.
You know what I really appreciate about this, not just for us, but for the public. I think it's very understandable. And I think so often they feel, what are they talking about? And I don't think they can say that about this. And so congratulations to all of you. It seems to be meticulous, clear. It's so often what government does. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Director Corbett.
I have to agree with everybody. This is a fabulous report, and it's so great to know that that data is being put together and we have the opportunity to share it and work with all the other experts across the area to protect our wildlife and our vegetation. And I think the most important part about it is it just really highlights and puts out there the importance of the East Bay Regional Park District and what we do. You know, we protect open space and we have recreation programs, but we play a huge role in protecting the environment and protecting the beautiful things that live within those open spaces. So thank you so much. It really highlights the great work that's done. So thank you.
Cool. Director Wasby. Hope you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you so much for this presentation. I love this kind of work. It's so exciting and fun. And it, as my colleagues have said, it just highlights our role and our role in stewardship and protecting the environment. And we are well, we're not the last vestiges of it, but we're surely the leaders in the Bay Area. And I truly appreciate that. I don't want to step out here, but I think you've explained things really well. We can explain things about red-legged frogs and the predators that prey on them that are non-native. And I'll say only that, but I hope some of the folks that are our critics, that when we have the charge and the responsibility to manage some of these endangered species and the health of the overall the people we protect and the animals we protect, I hope they're invited to the stewardship seminar, because there's some key people that need to hear our message.
Yes, we are certainly inviting the broader scientific community and the regulatory community to the stewardship seminar. And we do hope this will give us more credibility.
You're getting closer, but
oh, there's another one.
Well, okay, I didn't explain it well enough, but yes, I'll talk to you offline.
Excellent.
Great. Anything else? Yeah, I think just another comment is just, I mean, this goes in line with how the Park District has been collecting data, not on our PCIs, our facilities, and now we're creating the same basically database for our wildlife and our environment. So it's all data-based and science-based, so it's just wonderful. It just gives us that much more leverage in what we do and promoting what we do. So thank you so much for this. Director Lane.
Well, I thank you too, and I look forward to a little longer presentation at some point. I think GM gives you 10 minutes and you did really well with that. So I want to challenge you to come up with a really good name. One TAM, or is it TAM 1?
It's one TAM.
One TAM.
Yeah, that all the agencies together created this one.
Yeah.
TAM.
Well, so I've read about one TAM for the last, it's fairly recent, a collaboration for everybody, and it was hard fought, as I recall. But for us to do something that reflects the East Bay and ecology in a concise kind of name that you can have at the top and then do the health assessment as a subtitle, I think would be very helpful.
We've been looking for that sweet spot name.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your attention and support.
Thank you for your work.
President Rosario, during the meeting we've had, a member of the public want to comment on this item.
Great. Let's hear it.
It's Kelly Abreu.
Kelly. Thank you. So this is a popular thing to look at the habitats and the ecosystems. So there's another government agency which just last week did the same thing or funded the same thing. It's called the Altamont Landfill and Resource Recovery Facility Open Space Advisory Committee of the Alameda County. They, by the way, they paid $1 million into buying 1,500 acres of Tyler Ranch 10 years ago. But so they looked at this phase 2 of what they call the Transportation Wildlife Corridors project, and they're setting up cameras near freeways in Alameda County to look at how the animals get across these things and what are the animal counts, and they have some kind of software that detects animals and identifies them a little bit, and they get that calibrated, whatever. And there's also, they're involved with the Alameda County Resource Conservation District and the University of California Davis Road Ecology Center headed up by Dr. Fraser Schilling. So why do I say all this? Because in the end, if you're politically driven and your funding is coming through politics, then you get perverse incentives, and in this case, disincentives. Large landowners have no incentive to put to measure endangered species on their properties. I have some little experience with this, and they confirm this. They have difficulty. All these nice people who own cows or whatever, they have no interest in this subject. In fact, or minimal interest, and it's really a tough nut to crack. Another thing in this, it turns out that they have their funding is allocated certain ways. It ended up they wanted to put all the funds, literally, some members of the committee, all the funds towards East County, towards Altamont, zero of the funds towards the Dublin Pass, of that portion of 580, where obviously there's more animals because there's more trees and more holes and more water and more leaves and all these things. So I believe that you might want to talk to these people, try to bring in a science-based perspective into this, try to count all the animals fairly and equitably and equally. Don't discriminate against them just because they like to live in Dublin or Castro Valley, and try to be open-minded and open-eyed and count and look for all these things from the perspective of science and not from the perspective of politics. Thanks.
Thank you. That was the last comment on that item.
Great. And I believe this was just information. So
yes.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. I'm looking forward to the full-blown report. And that brings us to item number 5, board and staff reports, actions taken by other jurisdictions.
Great. Thank you, President Rosario. We just have one update today from other jurisdictions, and that is about the Fremont Trail Strategy Plan. And on September 7th, the Fremont City Council approved this trail strategy plan, which provides a 30-year vision for citywide trails and prioritizes projects for the next 10 years. The city currently has 61 miles of trails, but with this new trail plan, they're going to expand their trail network to 140 miles total. Just of note for us, some of the trail plan projects identified as near-term priorities over the next 10 years for Fremont are also Park District priorities. And those include the Niles Canyon Trail, the Dumbarton Bridge to Quarry Lakes Trail, the Alameda Creek Trail enhancements, and the San Francisco Bay Trail. And that's the end of my update.
Great. Any questions or comments?
And Mr. Abreu, yes, he was going to comment on this also.
Okay, great.
You have 3 minutes, Kelly.
Thank you. There is a typical, not typical, very important presentation that the Park District did last week in the town of Sunol, and that's something about a Tyler Ranch staging area. Nice presentation. The outcome totally surprising, totally unexpected. maybe not unexpected to those of us who have some experience at Mission Peak, at Vargas Plateau Regional Park, and at a lot of other places. People who really, people like me who've really seen a lot of politics taking over parks and park development. So what happened? Well, so these people, as soon as they found out, the local neighboring property owners who own suburban homes next to the park district's lands, they are up in arms. They were outraged. They were calling in and demanding that you people didn't notify them enough. That all those public hearings you held was 10 years ago, but they forgot about those. That they don't want any construction to start. Construction is scheduled to start very soon, by the way. What about the traffic on this 2-lane road? Well, by the way, if you look at the traffic counts on 2-lane roads, there's only 70 parking spaces that are proposed, and 2-lane roads can handle a heck of a lot of traffic. But at Vargas Plateau, we saw that that it's possible to sue the park district if you've got good lawyers and get a lot of money to widen the roads and then run your own dump trucks and dam building and lake building civil engineering projects without permits using the newly improved roads. But so at Sunol, at Tyler Ridge, what's the real story? Well, the real story is that the park district, that they first defeated proposals to build suburban housing all over the hillsides. That's why these parks were developed. Park district acquired the land 10, 12 years ago. And this land, everybody was so happy. The same people were so happy because the park district was going to maintain open space and make parks. And now when you go to make the park, oh, now it's a problem. Well, if you like having parks in your backyard, if you like having open space, and you like the idea in principle of having a park, but you don't want a park when it really shows up, that shows the political problem. This park district needs to have some political focus on Sunol, recognize, hold their hands, hold more meetings. They actually took a vote of the committee and voted to ask you to stop construction, a formal measure, which has no weight. It's just a political temper tantrum in political terms. But this park district needs to take this seriously and put a little bit higher focus on dealing with these objections so we can get these parks built without having all these temper tantrums all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the last speaker, President Rosario.
Thank you. Good comment. And that leads us to item number 6, announcements from closed session.
President Rosario, there are no announcements from the closed session.
Thank you very much. And now, item number 7, our favorite, board comments. And Director Wasby requested to go first. So we'll go Director Wasby, then Director Lane. Nope, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. So I'm asked to go first because I'm told there are some of our friends who participated in the International Day of Peace last Saturday are listening. And so welcome to all of you. And thank you again for all your great support. Matthew, you're supposedly going to help me here. And that's going to be a big task to get me through this. But I'm told we have a PowerPoint presentation and Matthew, are you there? Hey,
yes,
look,
he is.
There it is. Thank you so much. So let me start by saying that today, September 21st, is the United Nations International Day of Peace celebration or commemorates. In 1981, the United Nations General Assembly established this day as a way for the world to observe 24 hours of nonviolence and ceasefire and to celebrate peace. So the Park District 4 years ago embraced this celebration, and we do it on weekends because we can get more people there. So this past Saturday, on September 18th, we held a celebration, and it was an excellent celebration with lots and lots of people, lots and lots of communities. This is briefly the first time I've seen this presentation. So I want to thank a number of people as we go through the celebration. We had speeches from great people. We had support from the Regional Parks Foundation, and board member Keith White, who I met for the first time, gave a wonderful talk about the foundation's commitment to world peace and his personal commitment to world peace, and did an excellent job. Next slide, please. So during this celebration, what it was peace messages through music, art, even a lakeside walk, peace walk, we called it. And there were at least 300 people there, I think. I think we established that. Just the best ever event so far this year, or in the 4 we've had. Many of our partners were there. Here we have a peace message delivered by Monica Ariano from the Muwekma Ohlone tribe of the San Francisco Bay Area, and her family and some other representatives. They gave us a wonderful welcoming. Next slide, please. We had some great inspirational peace messages. One of our greatest collaborators were the Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Center. This gentleman was not affiliated with them, but he came. Marcel was incredible. He was a 9-year-old young man, and he gave a stirring speech. We were just totally impressed by Marcel. Next slide, please. Followed by some Baha'i singers from Castro Valley who sang a peace song and led everybody in a peace song. Did an excellent job. Next slide, please. And then we had a peace message from a lot of the faith community was there. So we had different faiths giving their interpretation, but giving a peace message to everyone. This was Gurmeet Singh, who helped out and did an inspirational message. Next slide, please. And then this was from the Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Center, Jada Gray. Once again, another inspiring speech and talk about world peace. Next. And we had peace songs. So I don't know if you know Koku Karamani. He does a number of things with us, multicultural wellness walks, just a wonderful, great man. And his partner, Bruce Berger, who told me that his real name, his stage name was Rabbi Soul. And these guys were very inspirational and led us in songs, and it was very, very nice. Next slide. And then, of course, I hope everybody knows Vince Hall from My Peak Fitness. He does multicultural walks and does the sort of the inspirational get yourself in shape, stretch, and get ready for this. So we did some peace stretching. Next slide. And there's the group stretching and having a good time. And then Favor Asu from Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Center gave another peace message. Once again, very inspiring. Next slide. As well as Anka from the Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Center. Lots and lots of kids with great, great messages. Oh, we also had to the right is the Four Harmonious Friends, and a great Buddhist story about peace and cooperation from a woman who, his name escapes me, but she did a wonderful job, and I hope she comes back next year. Next slide. This is just the group, and more group. Hey, look at that guy on the right. So it was a great event. I bet we've got a couple more slides. So next. Yeah, so this is what we did. So what we did was in the I guess the highlight of the event was we installed and inaugurated a peace pole. That pole is either 12 or 13 feet tall. The history of it is there are 250,000 peace poles throughout the world. And this is the first one in the regional parks that we're very proud to have. And it says, I think you can read on the side of it, "May peace prevail on earth." And that is written in I don't know how many languages. I think there's 20 or 30 languages that we have peace, or may peace prevail throughout the earth. Sign language, all of the, well, you can see all the languages that we have there, including Native American tongues, which was fairly new to us, and we were very happy. And again, we did a little celebration over there with Monica Arellano and the Muwekma group. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are all the languages that are on the poll. Next slide. We had a little ceremony. Yeah, so everybody gathered around the Peace Bowl. I don't know if you saw that. It was a stirring event until, well, it was very nice. But the final, one of the final closings was a song, and it was the song. Well, what was the song by Louis Armstrong? What a Beautiful World. Mm-hmm. And I found myself, everybody circled around, and as the MC, I was there. I found myself in a position of, uh-oh, I got to sing this song, or lead this song anyway. And I think everybody knows and loves that new Louis Armstrong song. It just loves it. It's a beautiful, touching song. I'll bet no one can do anything but the chorus. And there were at least 3 or 4 verses that I had no idea. So I solicited, and I want to thank the Regional Parks Police Department, Lance Breed, Dave Fulps, and Chief Chiaburo and I led the songs. And fortunately for those guys, they had masks on, so they looked like they were singing, and I was moving my lips. But that's just a sidelight. It was a beautiful, beautiful celebration. We had a beautiful lunch. Next slide. And we even took a peace walk, and a lot of people came along, and we had a nice little walk along the shoreline. And a credit to Mona, she asked people to dress in their cultural outfits, and oh my God, it was beautiful. Just some great dress. And very multi-generational. This is Marcus on the left-hand side in the yellow shirt. I remember talking about him. He was the 9-year-old that did the incredible speech. His whole family's there. He's being embraced by his grandmother, who is a member of Girls Trek, which is a group of, I think, African-American women who hike all over. And she came on the hike, and she was very vigorous and had many questions and loved the park. She's from Brentwood, so she's going to bring her group down here for a while. Anyway, yes, so thank you to everyone. The staff was incredible. The Lake Chabot staff did an incredible job of setting everything up. They built that Peace Bowl. They built that area around there that used to be lawn. They made it accessible and beautiful. And I know we're heading to the end of the deal, but as you know, Mona is one of the most caring, generous, and thankful people. And I use the word thankful because Mona's got me a script here to thank the people. So we want to thank, bear with me, but we'd love to thank the United Nations Association of the United States, the East Bay chapter. I didn't know there was a United Nations association, but there is. And Melinda Howard Herart came and did a wonderful job with a peace message and invited everybody to join. Mr. Bob Kim from the Hyundai Korean News Media, who I hope everybody knows him. He's at all of our multicultural events. Does a really, really wonderful job of bringing the Korean community out to events. There was the Korean American Leadership Youth Program, who not only came and visited, they were the kids in the blue vests. They helped in taking down all of the canopies, folded up the tables, chairs. They participated in a number of events, trail maintenance events in Sunol, Guerin, and Tilden. There was Eugenia Urique for bringing the Latinx community, the Regional Parks Foundation for all their sponsorship, and the great work of Carol Johnson and Keith White, and all the Lake Chabot staff. And the Volunteer Trail Safety Patrol did an excellent job, and they were headed up by Ned McKay, our own Ned McKay, and Carl LaRue. And our Public Safety Department did an excellent job. So I'm sorry that took so long, but it was a wonderful event. I hope you can all make it next year. We'll probably do this forever, or at least until we get world peace. Anyway, so back to my presentation, and thank all you people that were listening in on YouTube or joined our event. You made the event that what it was. So thank you very much. Back to my mundane life. On September 8th, I attended the Natural and Cultural Resources Committee meeting. On the 9th, I attended the Alameda County Fire Commission meeting. On September 17th, I met with the Deputy Secretary of the California Natural Resources Agency, Jessica Morse. What a great event that was. And now I'll let Dee expound upon it because he was the star of the show. But we had many stars of that show, and we were trying to show the National Resources Agency that we are in fact having some serious issues with tree mortality, and in our fire prevention and fire mitigation. And as I understand, the meeting was going to be from 9 to 10:30, which is pretty much quite a bit of time that when you're talking with politicians and bureaucrats that don't have that much time or are very, very busy. She stayed for about 4 hours. She was so impressed with our work. So that was a great one. That's it for me, except I would like to congratulate the East Bay Regional Park District Lifeguard staff. We just concluded another season this last Sunday, and this is our 12th year without a drowning.
Great report. And Director Lane is next, and then Colin Coffey.
Okay, thank you. That was a great report. I feel like I was there, even though I didn't make it. And what a wonderful feeling it sounded like. Everybody had this really optimistic enjoyment going on. So we'll see the Peace Bowl next time. For me, I have just a few things. I went to the Natural and Cultural Resources and enjoyed hearing from Don Hankins, who's a tribal representative in many different places. But for that, he talked to us about the tradition of using fire to promote what the Native Americans wanted to have in their territories. And it was a very interesting talk. And I appreciated having him there. Then I did have a nice half-hour talk about Peralta Oaks North and the what I wanted to see in the boardroom. And I thought it was an interesting question, about what you liked about the current boardroom and what you didn't like about it. And it was a nice opportunity to talk to people about it, and I appreciate having that. Then aside from that, I did go to a small version of Save Mountain Diablo's Moonlight on the Mountain, and Colin and Mila picked me up. Turned out her brother lives not far from me, so they knew right how to find me. And Bob Doyle received the major award at that event. So it was very nice to see him and his wife and some close friends there as well. And then I spent a little time looking at the US Open tennis, which is what I do on these open things, and had some conversations with Concord people about the master developer. And I'm on the Anza Trail Foundation, and when we had our meeting, our supervisor has been Naomi Torres for some years, and she announced that she will be the acting supervisor for the National Historic Sites when Tom Leatherman departs for Hawaii. So I was really pleased about that. She's been active in the East Bay for some time. And so early October, she will move to that position, which is an important partner for us in lots of ways. And then just to say, I'm looking forward to the Tilden celebrations, operations awards, and on October 16th, there'll be the Point Mulati field trip, trail field trip, which would be very cool. And also the state parks, Mount Diablo State Park is celebrating its centennial that Saturday. So lots of great things coming up. And thank you again, Dennis, for the report on your Peace Day. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. Director Coffey, and then we'll go, then Elizabeth Eccles after.
Yeah, so I want to thank Director Waspy for that report on Peace Day, and I'm somewhat wondering what the cultural significance of Director Waspy's outfit was. I think it was Hawaiian. Colorful Hawaiian.
That's right.
You don't have
you know, I missed that, Colin. I always blow out, but if you were asking about the cultural significance of my Hawaiian shirt, Mona made me say something, but you know, with a Swiss heritage, what was I going to do? There's
I was just wondering about the connection, but we can pursue that some other time. I am very sorry I missed that event. I was on the 18th at the attended the coastal cleanup work at Radke Martinez Shoreline with all the park rangers of those parklands were there, and the naturalists from Black Diamond, and lots of garbage collected. And I wanted to do my part on that day, and unfortunately missed it, which I really wanted to go to the Peace Day celebration. And then that afternoon I went out to Big Break, where they were also conducting coastal cleanup, and in connection there with the All Abilities Day, a 2-day event out at Big Break, which is always fabulous to see what our naturalists, you know, it's a collaboration among Black Diamond and Big Break naturalists, as well as our rec folks and the rangers out at Big Break. Back on the 8th, I also attended the Natural and Cultural Resources Committee and echo Director Lane's comments about the presentation. On the 11th, Moonlight on the Mountain was an in-person smaller version, but nonetheless a lot of fun, and it was good to see Bob Doyle get the award. I attended the executive committee, I believe, on the 14th, and with Director Eccles, the Point Mulati working group of stakeholders on the 15th. Also attended Contra Costa Watershed Forum meeting on the 15th. On the 19th, I attended an event for Congressman Swalwell of interest. Attorney General Bonta was there along with his newly elected spouse, Assembly Member Bonta, who said all sorts of good things about my colleagues, Director Rosario and Corbett. And I was able to recite off the top of my head all the asks we're going to have of her office, and took advantage of that opportunity. My first meeting with Assembly Member, ever meeting Assembly Member Bonta. On the 20th, attended the Contra Costa Special District Association meeting. Also had the meeting with Lisa Bergen and her team on the Peralta Oaks North project. I think I ended up describing my vision for a boardroom as something as the equivalent of a grand Roman amphitheater with all the new advanced technologies, and probably was quite unrealistic, but I hope I wasn't entirely wasting their time. Attended the meeting yesterday of President Rosario's prep meeting for this occasion. And I wanted in closing to note for my colleagues and our guests that congratulations has been made to supervising naturalists at Black Diamond, Kevin Damstra, who received the, let me see, it's the National Association of Interpretation Master Interpretive Manager of the Year 2021 award in a nationwide recognition of Kevin's work navigating the Park District's transition to digital learning, introducing new virtual and augmented reality experiences, and continuing to inspire interpretive staff in cutting edge interpretive techniques. And I'm sure Kevin would agree that the entire naturalist staff and supporting organization of this park district did a phenomenal job in transitioning to digital learning very successfully on our behalf. But congratulations to Kevin on that individual recognition. Thank you.
Well done. Director Eccles.
Great, thank you. So since the last time I saw you at a board meeting, on the 9th of September, I attended a meeting with proponents of an East Bay Vegetation Management JPA. This was, met with them before, but this was an update with Sohelia Bana, John Kaufman, and Sue Piper. And then I also attended the Save Mount Diablo's Moonlight on the Mountain. And I haven't yet gotten the opportunity to do the real in-person one, but I was happy to at least participate in the video, and Bob Doyle did a great job accepting the award. And on the 15th, attended the Point Mulate working group along with Director Coffey, as you heard. On the 20th, I received a project briefing from Lisa Gorgian and her team on the San Francisco Bay Trail for out at Point Mulate, which we've already heard about today, which I'm very excited about. And then on the 20th also, I got to give my 2 cents on the Peralta Oaks North. And Colin, I like the way you described it, because I was thinking of something grand, but more modern than a Coliseum. But so anyway, we'll see what comes along. But anyway, I do want to encourage everyone to come out and join us at the celebration, the 85th anniversary of Tilden Park this weekend at the Nature area, and then the 80th celebration of anniversary of the Brazilian Room. And it actually looks like they're both going to be really fun events. And I'm also very grateful to be celebrating the 90th birthday of my mom this weekend. So yeah. So she points out she's older than Tilden Park. So anyway, thank you.
That's great then. Director Wieskamp.
I've got to say, if she's like you, I am sure she is doing very well.
She is, thank you. Unstoppable.
Well, come on, we know that you have lots to do, but your prime focus is Teresa.
It was even more unstoppable.
Take that to your mother. I attended on the 9th, the LAFCO meeting. We continue to get reports on the effects of Measure D on agriculture. They're tied together, and so it's a good time to get an update on what's happening there. Lisa Gorgian gave me an update on the Tyler meeting. It was certainly volatile as far as I can tell. And I think we've learned something from this, that when something takes permitting forever, you need to have some kind of interim reminder to people of what it's not our fault. We can't do it until we get through the permit process. So we learned from that. And I think we're going to put together a map that will help people to better understand the distance of each part of this new facility and the trails that are going to be built. I too enjoyed the meeting on looking at Peralta Oaks North Chamber. I certainly have had experience on the city council and other places on what seems to be good and not, in my opinion, as a participant. And so I thought it was very good of them to come and ask us about it. I certainly think we can do a better job in the future of having something that works well for us and for the audience, and look at my thought also is we talked in the past about community, our community there, perhaps having some meetings there if it fits in to the schedule, because I think that would make us a good neighbor, which is always good. I'm looking forward to the Tilden Brazil Room celebrations. I can't make the breakfast, but I have requested that I get information about the employee awards, because I always enjoy finding out more about all these creative people and what they've done out there in the field. And the last thing is, now that Tesla is roped in, I think we ought to talk about some kind of opportunity for some special tours, particularly for people like us, the board members, other interested parties, to at least see it. It's been a long time since I had that opportunity, and I think it would be worthwhile. It can't help happen maybe immediately, but when it seems possible, I think it would all help us get perspective about Tesla. And that's all. Thank you.
Good idea regarding Tesla.
Yeah.
I think we should send a congratulatory letter to Senator Glazer and RBK and Celeste Garamendi for their
I had a
work.
great conversation with Celeste, and boy, was she thrilled but tired.
I bet. She was a great advocate.
Absolutely.
So Director Corbett had to leave, and that leaves me. And so I failed to report on on 9/2. I attended the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference, and there was a report on the municipal regional stormwater permit changes, and I think we should pay attention to that. There could be some consequences for some of our regional trails. There's things that have to do with paved trails, firefighting foam, and trash control that we may have to pay attention to. So just heads up for ASD. And then on the 8th, I attended the Alameda County Special Districts Association meeting, and their key talk there was regarding cybersecurity, and it was presented by Donald Hester from the city of Livermore, who's a cybersecurity expert, and he was recommending that we get some kind of an audit, a security audit, which that sounds like East Bay Mud's done it, and several cities have done it. And it sounds like it's very, very helpful to those that have taken that opportunity. And he recommended that all agencies go to .gov because of the stricter requirements to get that .gov. So that's for information. And then also that day, I listened to the Natural and Cultural Resources on YouTube, found it very interesting, especially congratulations on our IPM report. I think that IPM report is getting better and better. And also on the talk on the Native American uses for fire. Fascinating. And then on 9/8, I attended the Alameda County Mayor's Conference. And just what came out of there was there are grants available from the Bay Area Air Quality Management Park District or Management District for alternate fuel vehicles. And then there was a presentation. Oh, that doesn't pertain to us. But then I just wanted to report that both Berkeley and both the cities of Berkeley and Oakland are requiring mandatory vaccinations for all their employees. And then on 9/9, I met with Amos White of 10,000 Trees, and he has an incredible volunteer organization, and he's working with counties. His intention is to plant 10,000 trees in the urban areas, and he has an incredible volunteer organization already set up, and he's looking for opportunities to plant trees. So I think I forwarded that information to operations. And then on 9/13, I met with Lisa and Ren Bates and team regarding Peralta Oaks. I think I was a little more practical than everybody else. And then on 9/14, we had the executive committee meeting. Great presentations there. And then on 9/17, the media event with Jessica Morse in our tree mortality. Basically, she was there to look at the work that we had done with the money that was that we had been awarded. And she wanted to see what kind of work was done on the ground, and she was just amazed. She was amazed at the work we've done, and amazed at what we've accomplished in our organization. And the real stars of the show were, I think, was our field break crew, and I think Captain Sweeney was a star, as well as the crew there. I think they were the highlight of the show, and that was one of those serendipitous decisions to stop, and I think Jessica was really impressed, and it was a great showcase. And then on the 14th, let's see, no, that was the 14th, that was the 17th, was Jessica Morse. On the 18th, the UN Peace Day. Can't say enough how well that went off, and Dennis did a great job. And then on 9/20, the pre-board meeting with Sabrina and the executive staff. And then that evening, I met with Oakland, attended the meeting for the Oakland DD Coalition, and they formulated a letter opposing the Brooklyn Basin extension of the marina that will wrap around the new development there, and basically would block off view of the waterways there with marina and sailboats. So that's something that's wasn't in the plan, and it would also affect the circulation for a marsh there. And then today's meeting. So that catches you up with my doings. What I wanted to do prior to adjournment, let's see, I should make sure there's a, I wanted to read a letter. The board is aware of the letter from the San Francisco Fire Department. And I just wanted, noting that our fire teams that went to the Dixie Fire, and I just wanted the public to hear what was said about our teams there. And this is addressed to Ms. Landreth. And this is from the Battalion Chief, San Francisco Fire Department, Ryan Crean. I would like to take a moment to inform you of the superb performance of service provided by the East Bay Regional Parks Fire Department, OES engine number 348. This engine was recently assigned to task force number 2803 in response to the Dixie Fire. Led by Lieutenant Sean Anderson, he and his crew were tested under hostile conditions on several occasions. Through Sean's leadership, he and his crew executed with poise, professionalism, and passion for the communities at risk. Their actions resulted in direct life and property conservation through proper evacuation techniques and by engaging in direct fire attack, saving multiple structures. Sean and his crew were also instrumental in the daily operations of the task force and were trusted with carrying out several logistical functions to maintain a high state of readiness and efficiency. It was with great ease to decentralize our mission to Lieutenant Anderson, as he proved to be a trusted and experienced fire officer, providing excellent supervisory skills, but also displaying the leadership required to gain the trust of his crew and our team. Sean appears to be a transformational leader, drawing the talents of his crew and team to meet the mission. This attribute was an overarching theme and contagious to all on the task force. In addition, firefighter Lohman, firefighter Harmola, firefighter Brees, and firefighter Cushman were all resourceful ingredients to the team's success. As a 26-year veteran of the fire service, I would say without hesitation that these men define the mission and the values of the greater fire service. Please take a moment to recognize your fine employees for their extraordinary dedication to service. And we do, and we are so happy that they're home and safe, and hope they get some rest because our turn is coming next. So yeah, very well done. Congratulations to that team and under adverse conditions. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And then as a last acknowledgement, I just got an email, received an email during closed session that Tim Gordon, one of our original naturalists, just passed away. He was the long time naturalist at Tilden, a long-time leader for ASME 2428. And I can't say enough good things about Tim, and I'm sure we'll have that opportunity. Hopefully there will be some kind of a memorial service, and we'll try to keep everyone apprised. So with that, I would like to adjourn our meeting. And again, congratulations to our firefighters and returning safe, and a fond farewell to Tim Gordon. Thank you all. And